It's the Relationista, back at it again. It's the Relationista, back at it again for another hot topic because you guessed it. It's another great week. So today's hot topic is a really special one to me because I understand it, I feel it, I get it. This is for any individual that has asked, how do you heal from childhood wounds and how does it affect you? So let's get into it. So for many people that are dealing with childhood trauma, or they understand that they've experienced childhood trauma, they might see it show up in their life in different ways, and that might look like jealousy, that might look like sense of loneliness, that might look like a bunch of different things in a bunch of different directions, and you're wondering why this is happening to you. So childhood trauma is when you experience something as a child that still impacts you as an adult. And I'm saying it as an adult because I'm assuming the people who are watching this video right now are adults. So if you've experienced something that literally changed your life, whether as you witnessed domestic violence, whether you experienced incest, whether you experienced sexual abuse as a child, whether you were raped, whether you were neglected as a child, whether your parents abandoned you, whether you don't know who your parents are, whether you were adopted, whether you were in foster care, whatever your story is, I honestly feel this can relate to anyone. And so when we go through childhood trauma, we have two options. One, we can allow it to define us, and two, we can break the cycle. So for me, I've done both. I allowed my childhood trauma to try to define me. And so when I say try, I meant that I allowed that to play a huge role into my life and allowed it to determine the type of relationships that were going to happen and come into my life. And also allow the boundaries or lack thereof that would happen in my life growing up. And so what you have to do, if this sounds like your life and you're just wondering how to navigate it, this is what I'm gonna tell you. One, don't allow your childhood to define who you are in the decisions that you make. Two, break that cycle. Three, identify how it bothers you or what childhood traumas trigger you now, and look and paint a picture. I'm a very visual person. Figure out how that looks like in your life so you can literally pull that weed out, throw it away, burn it, and never come back again because you fixed it, you addressed it. Yes, healing takes time. Yes, it looks different for everybody else, but let's be real. Childhood trauma changes the way that we think as adults because however we experience something that impacted our life, trauma, I'm not a psychologist by any means, but I am the Relationista. So with that being said, if you have experienced childhood trauma, I need you to identify what makes you uncomfortable and how you can address it, whether it's talking to your parents about it, whether it's going to see a professional, whether that's expressing yourself through music, art, dance, whatever that looks like, you need to address it. And the best way for those visual learners who are like, how do I do that? I don't know what that looks like. This is what it's like. Honestly, let's be real here. So you need to rip off the Band-Aids. Shout out to Kroger, boom, Kroger for the Band-Aids. But you need to rip off those Band-Aids and you need to allow yourself to heal. And so what that looks like is ripping off the Band-Aid, pouring a bottle of alcohol on it, not the kind you drink, but the kind that disinfects, and then allow that to sizzle and allow it to heal. And so what that could look like is different for everybody. Childhood trauma is serious. And for me, from someone who has experienced traumatic things or witnessed traumatic things, I have made a pact with myself, and this is why I'm so passionate right now, is I made a pact with myself that I was not going to allow those childhood situations to define me as a person today. And so whatever that looked like for me, that was a lot of talking, a lot of sharing stories, a lot of conversations with my parents, talking to the people that I care about, that I can trust about this situation, and really just being open and vulnerable. And honestly, what has really helped through the years is being vulnerable with other people who are going through similar situations that might not be as far along as I am in this journey, and giving advice and sharing from a place of love and compassion and sharing what I've learned along the journey to help them in their journey. And when that happens and when those experiences and when those opportunities come up, it's just a great time to be able to heal and share and all those things in between. So with that being said, it's the Relationista. I was back at it again. You know what time it is. Relationista out. It's the Relationista, back at it again.